I want to talk about this thought process because I think it's really important when it comes to the rise of chronic illness in our society. So the POV, when people say if it was really that bad for you, the government wouldn't allow it to be sold. And obviously this guy's laughing at it because he thinks it's funny. But I want to talk about the wording of this and why it's important. To have that thought process kind of doesn't really make sense anymore because there are countless things on the market right now that are regulated by government agencies but could be considered unsafe. Cigarettes are the first thing that come to mind here because they know, and now we know as a society, what the risks are for consumption. So much so that there is a Surgeon General's warning on the product that people read and have knowledge of, but they still choose to purchase because it's their right to do so. Other products also come to mind, like artillery, alcohol, vapes, kitchen appliances, swords, the list goes on. But all of these things have been regulated in such a way that they come with instructions and warnings that allow us to essentially use at our own risks when having these warnings in front of us. And this is no different with food and drinks, along with cosmetics and medications. It's not about the company being allowed by the government to put something on the market. The regulation essentially allows the product to get on the market so that you can choose to buy, use, or consume them. The regulation is allowing the company to give us the information about their product. The instructions, the ingredients, the side effects, the warnings, and then when the product comes out, we as a consumer with that information choose to buy or consume it or not. Because of what makes America America, the government doesn't allow the companies or us to do anything. There's a little bit of a trick there because the companies have the freedom to create and we have the freedom to choose. The regulation is to allow these things enough leeway to get onto the market to start generating a profit. There are regulations for safety for sure, but it's not to keep them off the market. It will regulate in a way that gives us warnings that something may or may not be safe. This is actually why America is a great place to start a business, from a tiny little Etsy shop to a massive corporation, because America at the end of the day is a kind of at your own risk kind of country when it comes to creating and choosing products that you use, which has its pros and cons. The regulations make the companies say, look, here's the information, the ingredients, the warnings, the side effects, and now you as a consumer are now free to choose if you would like it or not. But there's a catch. Our freedom of choice in many matters has been completely hijacked by marketing, by addiction, and by algorithms. So when you see these posts that tell you to just choose this or that, a banana or a cookie, it's just that simple. It's not that simple. It can be that simple once you recognize where your system has been hijacked. But before it's simple, it can actually be very, very challenging because these ways of hijacking are very, very powerful. So yes, we are free to choose Dunkin' Donuts coffee or water, binge a Netflix series or go to the gym, a cigarette or not. We are free to choose those things, but if our system has been hijacked by sugar and nicotine addiction at a young age and algorithms and the marketing that we're swimming in, these decisions in those moments are actually not that simple. They can be very, very challenging. In these moments, our brain is going to look for reasons to continue to use the thing that may not be good for us. And one of these reasons might be something like this, saying that, well, the government won't allow something on the market that is bad for us. And this is when we need to remember that they don't allow things to be on the market because they're good or bad for us. They allow things to get on the market so that they can generate a profit. The only way that they're going to really care about our health and well-being is if it generates a massive profit. So this is why it is so important to come back to our freedom of choice instead of questioning or relying on the why of their regulations, because we know why. It is also really important to point out that these companies and marketing and algorithms will use our freedom of choice against us. So when we choose a Frappuccino or a cigarette or candies with dyes in them or whatever we have in front of us, knowing the safety risks, reading the warnings, knowing the side effects, knowing the ingredients, we tell ourselves it's our choice. We're free Americans. I have the right to choose this. And even though I know the potential side effects, like I choose it because I deserve it. I'm treating myself. I've earned it. It's mine and I have the right to choose. And so I'm choosing this instead of that. It's my choice. And the companies go, yep, it's your choice. Yep, it's all you. It's all, yeah, you get it, girl. It is your choice. These companies know that we are going to stand in our right to choose because it holds so much power. We know it and they know it, but they use it to benefit them. So to recap, any regulation is going to allow something to get on the market so that we can choose to use it or not. So it is up to us to choose what benefits us in physical, mental, and emotional health and well-being without being hijacked by marketing, addiction, and algorithms. So it always was and always will be up to us. These companies know how powerful our choices are because our choices dictate where we put our money. And if they can sway our choices, it's going to benefit them. But we need to be reminded of this so that we put our money in places that truly benefit us, our health, our mental health, and our well-being. And while I'm still on this topic, I want to point out that these three things, the addiction, the algorithm, and marketing, are not the only three things that can hijack our choices. You know, where we're born, who we're born into, if we're living in poverty. There's so many other things that can essentially hijack our choices. I want to make this video to create an awareness around the fact that our choices matter. And even if our choices have been hijacked, even systemically, because it's systematic and it's systemic. If your choices have been hijacked in such a way to figure out where they were sort of skewed for you, or your freedom of choice was sort of twisted for you, so that you can figure out a way to make those choices for yourself, to understand, okay, where were my choices hijacked and how can I shift that around? How can I rewire? How can I make change? Like, where were my choices taken from me so that I can figure out a way to create new choices out of those situations. So I just wanted to be fair, because sometimes this can come off as a little bit pretentious. Like, it's not the poverty that I was born into, it was my algorithm. And that's not what I'm saying. Addiction runs rampant in this country, almost on purpose, because addiction will hijack our choices every single time. And there's a reason why it stays in place. And I just want people to know that we do have a choice. The freedom of choice is always there. And the recognition of where it's been hijacked can be the first step to figuring out how to make different choices to benefit you and not them.